My niece Lily has always been a bright, bubbly child, but lately she's been acting strangely, withdrawn, jumpy, even afraid of the dark. It all started after a visit from her Uncle Manico. Uncle Manico, the one with the unsettling smile and the eyes that always seemed to hold a hidden agenda. I dismissed Lily's fears as childish imagination, but then the strange things started happening. Objects disappearing, whispers in the night, and a chilling dread that clung to the edges of our home. I started to suspect that Uncle Manico's visit wasn't as innocent as it seemed. Lily, who used to bounce out of bed every morning, now wakes up with a start, her eyes wide with terror. She clings to me like a frightened kitten, whispering about shadowy figures lurking in the corners of her room. Her drawings, once filled with vibrant colors and playful creatures, are now dominated by unsettling images. Long skeletal hands reaching from the darkness, faceless figures with eyes like burning coals. Her laughter, once a constant melody in our home, has been replaced by a quiet, almost mournful silence. I tried to reassure her, to tell her it was just a phase, a product of an overactive imagination, but the fear in her eyes was too real, too raw to ignore. And then there was the incident with the doll. Lily's favorite porcelain doll, a delicate heirloom passed down through generations, vanished without a trace. I searched high and low, but there was no sign of it. Lily, however, insisted she saw Uncle Manico playing with it in the garden, his laughter echoing through the trees. I dismissed her claim as a fever dream, but a chilling dread began to settle over me. Was it possible that Uncle Manico, with his unsettling charm and unsettling gaze, was somehow responsible for Lily's fear? Or was it all just a coincidence, a series of unfortunate events? I was determined to find out the truth, even if it meant confronting the man I had always secretly feared. The more I observed Lily's behavior, the more convinced I became that something sinister was afoot. She would flinch whenever Manico's name was mentioned, and her eyes would dart nervously around the room as if expecting him to appear at any moment. One evening, I overheard her whispering to her teddy bear, "He touches me when you're not looking, Teddy. He touches me." My blood ran cold. The playful pats on the head, the lingering hugs, the whispered compliments, they weren't innocent gestures. Manico was grooming her, slowly and subtly, testing the boundaries, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike. The thought of him, a grown man, preying on my innocent niece filled me with a rage I had never known before. I decided to confront him. The next time he came to visit, I met him at the door, my voice firm and unwavering. "Manico," I said, "I know what you're doing." He feigned innocence, his eyes widening in mock surprise. "What are you talking about, sister-in-law? I was only being friendly." His voice was smooth, but I could see the flicker of fear behind his mask. "Don't play games with me," I warned, my voice rising. "Lily is terrified of you. She's having nightmares, she's withdrawn, and she's even started to self-harm." Manico's smile faltered, and for a fleeting moment, I saw the predator beneath the surface. "I'm watching you, Manico," I declared, "and if you ever hurt Lily again, I will make sure you pay." Manico, sensing my resolve, quickly retreated. He mumbled an apology and left, his gaze lingering on Lily one last time, a chilling possessiveness in his eyes. I knew this wasn't the end of it. Manico wouldn't give up easily. He was a skilled manipulator, and he wouldn't stop until he got what he wanted. I had to protect Lily, no matter the cost. The fear in Lily's eyes was a constant reminder of the danger that lurked within our own family. I started to investigate Manico's past. Digging into his murky history, I discovered a disturbing rumor, a whisper passed along in hushed tones at family gatherings. It was said that years ago, when Manico was still a young man, he had become obsessed with a woman in the nearby village, a woman who had been deemed mad by the locals. The villagers had warned him to stay away, but Manico, fueled by a twisted sense of power and a morbid curiosity, had ignored their warnings. He would spend hours watching her from the shadows, fascinated by her erratic behavior, her wild, unpredictable nature. One night, under the cloak of darkness, he had crept into her home. The details of what happened next were shrouded in whispers and hushed tones. Some said he had taken advantage of her vulnerability, exploiting her fragile mental state for his own twisted gratification. Others claimed he had been driven mad by her, that her madness had somehow infected him. Whatever the truth, the incident had cast a long shadow over Maniko's life. He became a recluse, withdrawn and distant, his eyes haunted by the memory of that night. The villagers, however, never forgot. They whispered about the madwoman and the beast who had preyed upon her. They kept their children close, warning them to stay away from Maniko, the man with the chilling smile and the eyes that held the darkness of 1,000 nightmares. I shuddered as I pieced together these fragments of Maniko's past. The pattern was clear. He was drawn to the vulnerable, the broken, the ones society had cast aside. Lily, with her innocence and her growing fear, had become his new obsession, and I, her protector, would do whatever it took to keep her safe from his predatory grasp. Lily's nightmares intensified. She started sleepwalking, muttering incoherently about Uncle Maniko and the touch. One night, I found her huddled in the corner of her room, her body trembling, her eyes wide with terror. "He touched me again," she whispered, her voice barely a breath. "He touched me when you weren't looking." The words shattered me. I held her close, whispering reassurances, vowing to protect her from the monster who had invaded her innocence. I learned that during his last visit, Maniko had lured Lily into the garden, whispering promises of a magical secret. He had then touched her inappropriately, his hands lingering on her skin, his breath hot on her neck. Rage, a primal, consuming fury, erupted within me. How could he defile my sweet, innocent niece, the man I had once considered family, the man I had welcomed into my home, had betrayed my trust in the most horrific way imaginable. From that moment on, vengeance became my sole focus. I would make him pay for his crimes. I would expose him. I would ruin him. I would make sure he rotted in prison for the rest of his miserable life. I started to gather evidence, documenting every interaction with Lily, every chilling detail she revealed in her fragmented memories. I contacted the police, but they dismissed my concerns, claiming there wasn't enough evidence to warrant an investigation. Determined to bring him to justice, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I began to unravel Maniko's life, digging into his past, exposing his secrets, and revealing his true nature to the world. I warned his employers, I contacted his friends and family, I spread the word about the monster he truly was. Maniko, sensing the tightening noose around him, tried to intimidate me, to threaten me into silence, but I was no longer afraid. My love for Lily, my fierce protectiveness, had transformed me into a force to be reckoned with. I would not rest until justice was served, until Maniko paid the ultimate price for his sins. The police investigation, initially reluctant, finally gained momentum. My meticulous documentation, coupled with Lily's growing courage and the mounting pressure from the community, forced their hand. Maniko, cornered and desperate, confessed to his crimes. The evidence against him was overwhelming, his web of deceit finally unraveling. The day of the trial arrived. Lily, her face pale but resolute, testified against her uncle. Her voice, though trembling, was clear and unwavering as she recounted the horrific events. Maniko, his face contorted with a mixture of rage and despair, sat in the dock, his reign of terror finally coming to an end. The jury deliberated for only a short time before returning with a verdict: guilty. Maniko was sentenced to life imprisonment, a fitting punishment for the man who had stolen Lily's innocence and shattered her childhood. The road to recovery was long and arduous. Lily suffered from nightmares and flashbacks, but with the support of her family and a team of dedicated therapists, she slowly began to heal. The scars remained, both visible and invisible, but she was a survivor. Maniko, meanwhile, was locked away, his evil finally contained. He would spend the rest of his life behind bars, a constant reminder that justice, though sometimes delayed, would always prevail. Lily, now a young woman, found solace in art, her paintings a testament to her resilience and her journey towards healing. She never forgot what had happened, but she refused to let it define her. She became an advocate for child protection, her voice a beacon of hope for other victims of abuse. Justice had been served, but the memory of Miniko's evil would forever linger. However, in the face of such darkness, Lily's courage shone brighter than ever, a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit.